May I roll call, please?
Mayor Gerardo Sanchez,
Present.
Vice Mayor Africa Luna Carrasco,
Present.
Councilmember Mario Buchanan Jr., Councilmember Luis Cabrera,
Is he on-
Council,
is he on-
Councilmember,
Present.
Okay, good.
Councilmember Jose Ponce,
Present.
Councilmember Matias Rosales, Councilmember Gloria Torres. Present. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and go with item number 2A, discussion and possible direction of staff in all matters regarding the city of San Luis purchasing slurry real seal application services from American Pavement Preservations for the application of type 2 slurry seal as part of the fiscal year 2021-2022 pavement preservation project. Mr. Eloquio Vera, Director of Public Works. Eloquio.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. So once again, we bring up to you for eventually approval of slurry seal or the entry into contract with American Pavement Preservation for slurry seal purchase. As you know, we've thanks to council that approved this pavement preservation program. We've been at it for the last, I think, 6, maybe even 7 years. We've been able to cover the entire city. Right now, we're almost halfway on the second round of the entire city. The intent is to continue with the program as long as fiscally we're able to do so. Today, we bring up to you $235,000 to try and get that on the ground. And the approach that we've taken since we started, the idea was to cover the entire city. And then once we did that, we started and continued with the subdivisions that are in worse shape. That way we try to keep all the streets in the city at approximately the same condition. That's sort of the goal. And really what we're pretty much buying time, trying not to have to do total replacement. Unfortunately, when we started with the program, some streets were already pretty deteriorated, and we have to do total replacement on some of the streets. But the goal is to try and extend the life of the street. Not sure if there's any specific questions regarding.
I have a quick question, Mr. Vera. So this, we're going to redo what we did, what we done previously. Again, we're going to reseal the ones we sealed before.
Correct. We've already covered the entire city once.
Yeah, once,
And then we're about 1/3 through the city the second time.
Okay.
This second time, we're covering the worst streets first versus the first time we tried to go from the center of the street. We try to go both directions, east and west of the center. This time we're sort of jumping around a little bit more, just trying to get covered the worst streets first.
Okay. For the record, you have gone through all the streets that need repairing. I just want to clarify because there was a comment, of course, on social media that we were not looking at the different streets. And I know that you being an engineer and staff looking around, we basically look at if the street is able to be fixed or not, or if you recommend full, reconstruction of that street, or for those that we can actually save by doing this preservation. Is that correct?
That is correct. And we did a lot. Did get a lot of those comments the first time around because people were saying, you just slurried across the street and it's a lot better condition than ours. How come you're skipping us? But I can say at this time, those streets have been fully reconstructed because those were streets that were not suitable for slurry. They were not suitable for chip seal. They were not suitable for pavement preservation. They were just gone. But fortunately, last year and the year before, the city was able to invest in total reconstruction, and we took care of those streets that were the worst ones in town, was down in Los Portales area.
And for the records, we have actually done reconstruction of the oldest, some of the oldest streets in San Luis. I'm talking about the ones next to Walmart. Those were the streets were the biggest, the oldest that needed the most repair, and we fixed those. For the record, right?
That is correct, Mayor. We've covered with city funds as project. We've also worked with CDBG funds to try and rebuild some of the oldest part of towns that have drainage issues or other type of issues that sewer issues in the sewer lines. So those have also been completed using CDBG funds as well as CD.
Okay. I just want the clarification. So, okay. Any questions from council?
No, sir.
No?
Thank you.
No, it's a worthwhile investment, and we've been doing it for the past couple of years, and it actually saved millions of dollars in regards to reconstructing or actually making new roads. So thank you, Mr. Vera. Thank you, staff, and for the hard work you guys do. You have some more?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing I forgot to mention, but in the attachment, I included the contract that we're piggybacking. It's a City of Yuma contract. They went out to bid, and that's the City of Yuma contract is what we've been using since we started piggybacking on the contract. Price did go up. It used to be $1.15. Now it's going to be $1.55 per square yard. But they went through the bidding process, and they were the low bidder, so we're still getting the best deal. But price did go up slightly for slurry steel per square yard.
And it's the same company, Mr. Vera?
It's the same company.
It's really good. And the city of Somerton is also doing this also?
At the same time, just to explain what happens is the City of Yuma, City of Somerton, Yuma County, us, we all try to take advantage of doing slurry steel when they are here. So usually they are here most of the time for Yuma County and City of Yuma because they have the biggest quantities, and then Somerton and us sort of piggyback on it. So City of Yuma, I think this year they're not using them. They're using a different company because they're doing thicker applications. Fortunately, when we started doing a slurry, we started with that. So we started doing the thicker applications because we hadn't done slurry in many years. So we're now sort of doing what Yuma used to do. We're actually just doing the thinner application because all the streets are sort of in the same condition.
Okay.
But Yuma County is doing quite a bit. Somerton is doing very little, but just mainly because of budget. And then we're trying to do about the same that we've done in the past every time they're here.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Vera.
you.
Proceed. Now we're going to go with item number 2B, discussion and possible direction staff in all matters regarding Main Street cleanup campaign. Councilmember Jose Ponce brought this item up, and who's going to be talking about this? Mr. Vera?
Okay, Mayor, this is a project that I had in mind a long time ago, and we've done it before. And as a matter of fact, we can ask the some other groups like the one from the PEG to assist us in this project and that's been done in the past. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, he can give us some more info.
Yes, definitely. So I'm guessing this is trying to just do like a one-time event or like a routine event for cleaning. What we've done in the past, when people have requested they want to clean an area, we help with providing trash bag, gloves if needed. It's just a matter of coordinating the event, and we can even coordinate with PD for traffic control. And depending on what the event consists of, we can definitely coordinate something like that.
Was that what you're looking for, Mr. Ponce?
Okay.
Okay. Have we washed the sidewalks? Have we washed because I haven't seen it done lately.
We have washed the sidewalk. We wash them at least once every month, at least.
At least once a month? Okay.
Yes, at least once a month. We will continue to clean twice a week, and if some area looks that it needs attention or more attention, we address it, and we sweep minimum twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week.
Okay. So you are doing your routine maintenance on Main Street?
We are, definitely are.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, let's program an event and get the Pep Tech, contact with Pep Tech, and hopefully we can get them involved, and just do a campaign on Main Street.
Sounds good. We
Okay.
can coordinate that.
Thank you.
Let's do that, please. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vera. We're going to go with item 2C, discussion and possible direction of staff in all matters regarding lights located at Pitt Park. Councilmember Ponce brought this item also. Maria Rondan, Acting Director of Parks and Rec, or Louis?
Los dos.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I'm coming up because I've been involved a little bit longer with the project. And so I wanted kind of to address a little bit about the light that we're working on at Pep Park. There's several projects coming up at Pep Park in the future, where you see the two playground areas up. Yes, those two areas. So our plan is, and Mayor and Council have approved the purchase of additional playground equipment. We're actually going to connect those two playgrounds together and make one big one. And right in the middle of the grass area, there's a light pole. That's just one light right now. We're actually going to increase that 4 lights. I believe it's 2 lights. We're going to increase that to 4 lights. So it's going to light up the whole playground area, and it's going to have different amenities. Now, if you go to the south of the park, you'll see a basketball court on my right, and then the volleyball court on your left. In between those two areas, there's lights that light up the basketball court. There's lights that light up the volleyball court. So what our idea is, we've been retrofitting with LEDs throughout the years, is to do a double arm for those different areas. Councilman Ponce had mentioned that we do have some dark areas in the park. So what we want to do is we'll be adding double arm LED lights to light up some of those darker areas. Now, on the west side of the park, where you see the tree line, go ahead.
Yeah, on like mentioning right now, hearing on the west side of the park, the plan that we have already is to add exercise equipment that we already purchased, and that exercise equipment will be light up. So we'll be adding another branch. There will be a 2-branch double arm, light as well. So we're gonna have a little bit more lighting on this side. So that's something that we wanted to mention. Clarify. So you're gonna see a big change at Fair Park.
Are these lights going to turn themselves off? Are they on a timer, or are they going to be on 24/7?
We have a timer in the summer
Okay.
change. Well,
Okay.
This picture is about 3 years old. Where are we with the RC track? Because I know we had a big usage of that, but then we shut it down. Are we planning to bring that back, or?
So on the RC track, Councilman Rosales, we're looking at either bringing back the RC track or converting that into another soccer field, artificial. The RC track, one of the things we ran into was the youth center was doing the program. Expense-wise, for the cars was something that we wouldn't be able to offer. It was getting more and more challenging to find. But we can look at that option if that's something that Mayor and Council would like us to proceed. We're looking for maybe something more that would be more used on a daily basis, just because that area, this is a smaller park. And then also to the south of that, we've talked about and presented about even doing a small little dog park for that area.
The reason I ask, because we have activities for kids that are athletic and so forth, I know when the RC Club was, they had a good following, and it was a competition based, and we had people coming from Mexicali, from Yuma, when they did the competition. So I know it was getting to a good level, and they had a lot of kids interested that aren't normally interested in participating in park events like sports. So I mean, I don't know, maybe there's a different location, make a smaller one, or maybe behind the pool area or something. That way they're closer to the youth center because that's where they normally meet for the club.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that's something that I wouldn't like to see the RC track completely go away, or that type of activities for our youth to go away, because it had a good following. I mean, when I went to one of those things, there was at least 23 kids in there, and they're all into their cars, fixing them, and so.
And it was, council member, we had a good following, and then the interest is kind of lowered, and of course, the expense of the vehicles and maintenance went
Right.
up. And so we do know that there is a particular group that's very interested, but we can definitely look into another area closer to the youth center and maybe provide that opportunity.
Or maybe something smaller for them too. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
That's good.
Mr. Ponce, is that good?
I have a question.
Please.
Louis, I have the park in front of my house, the lights are not working. Where did I have to notify? To the city or?
Yes, you would
or-
call our Parks and Rec admin office, and we will
It's too
address
dark
those.
and I saw
Yeah.
the other day, they're just not working the lights.
If it's in the retention area, then the park staff will address that. But if it's a light pole,
It's an APS,
That-
it's an APS one.
that's an APS.
Yeah.
But working with Public Works, we can report that. All we need is the number of the pole, and they work with APS on reporting lights out so they can come and get them fixed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's a special, APS has a special website link. You can go on there, put the poll number, and submit the work ticket. I've done it before for that one, for that work. So,
Yeah, and those that want some help, I know that Public Works is able to
Yeah.
offer that service too.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for that information. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and go item number 2D.
Thank you, Elio.
Item 2D, a discussion and possible direction staff and in all matters regarding the placement of cameras at the senior center and at the park retention basins throughout the city. Councilmember Ponce?
Yeah, Mayor, I don't know why there's been some resistance about video cameras in the senior center. You probably know better than everybody else that video cameras are the first line tool in the prevention of lawsuits, prevention of safety for both, I mean, seniors and the city. So I was recommending, I mean, installation of cameras to prevent those incidents. I got some report complaints that there's some things that happened in the past inside, and then we can prevent this by installing those cameras.
Are those complaints, Mr. Ponce, are those complaints public record?
Yes.
They filed, were they formally filed
with the city?
with the city?
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I think we can prevent those things. I mean, we can install those cameras, Mayor.
Are we having issues, vandalism, or what's going on
Excuse me?
what is the issue? Is people vandalizing the location, or where is it that we're having complaints from? Is it,
How big of a safety issue is it?
I mean, where are we looking for cameras on the exterior for in case for someone breaks?
No, inside.
Oh, inside.
Inside.
When I make a comment, I know that it's getting usual that right now the installation of cameras and everywhere. We had at a committee, we had cameras inside of the committee, and we're planning to put some cameras in the schools and on the sides of the schools too. And I see everywhere that you see in the Facebook, you see that they put cameras everywhere, and they do the incidents or complaints or wherever they're at. And it's getting used to. I don't know if it is good idea. And I think Chief mentioned it the other day regarding cameras put it everywhere in the city. And I still don't remember that he brought it back to the council.
Yeah, there's a difference between putting cameras in strategic areas, but those are exterior cameras. They're not internal cameras. You're talking about putting internal cameras in a location, okay? As of right now, I'm sure schools are not putting cameras inside classrooms. They're putting them as safety outside. Like we already have safety cameras outside. Now, this is direct, Chief, how many times have they called from the senior center? How many calls have you had in the senior center in the past year?
I can recall just several as it relates to the senior center. One was Angelica had texted me on an individual that was outside of the windows. It came out as an indecent exposure. After the guys got done investigating it, the gentleman never went inside. He never exposed his genitals. He was basically showering himself with water. But he had his underwear on and then got in his car. We ended up trespassing him simply because that would not be appropriate in the senior center and in a city parking lot. So we did ahead and did that. We probably had over the course of the year, probably 3, possibly 4, where we've taken an actual report of people that have come there, but not to the extent that they were threatening anybody or doing anything as far as that's concerned. Maybe just being a little bit disorderly out in the parking lot, those type of things too. And I'd have to go back and run a report to get those very specific. But in the grand scheme of things, no. There are programs that are out there, portable type cameras. Derek probably know a little bit more as far as what that would entail, as far as having its own dedicated server who would be watching those types of things, and those types of areas as far as city areas are concerned. One of the things that I know was brought up too was the actual park. We've had some vandalism in the parks when it came to vehicles driving on the grass, tearing up the grass and those types of things too. Obviously that usually happens at night. Putting a camera in a location where those are at to try to get the right angles to do those things could be a little bit difficult. But again, and from a portable perspective, you can actually move those things, but are they going to be subject to being vandalized as well? So there's certain things that can go that direction and that way. I was at the conference this last week and there is a company that I did talk to that has portable cameras. They are very good. They can be located quite a bit a ways and actually have the capability to zoom in as well. Camera technology over the last 10 years has gotten much, much, much better. But obviously that's an expense that council would have to look at if they wanted to do those. And with the extent of the damages that are being done to the parks, there hasn't been a lot of tagging going on in the park. It really has been what I've seen lately, probably over the last 6 months to 9 months. This particular year has been several different places where they've just driven on the grass, done a couple donuts, and then they're gone. We have no vehicle descriptions, no suspect information, none of those types of things, or any residents that have reported that to us. Most of the time it comes from Angelica's staff giving us the pictures to do that as well. So we try to do intensified patrols at nighttime, getting the parks, looking at the schools as far as that's concerned too. But I also agree, and I'll put my educator hat on for a second. You get intrusive when you get into schools. They need to be in the general areas where the general population is. Otherwise, you get into some privacy issues as far as that's concerned too. So usually what we try to do is recommend to schools is, can you put them in strategic locations on the outside of the building so that if it's broken into, then we can go ahead and view it on the school servers, get the information that we need as far as suspect information, and then do investigation as far as that's concerned too. When it came to the Columbine shooting and those types of things, they actually did in 1999 had cameras within the hallways, and again, that's an area that they did, but they did not have any type of camera inside of the classroom. So, and hopefully I've got all of. I think when I was reading it, what Councilmember Ponce had put up there, I think that's pretty close to a very accurate report.
I think you bring a couple of good points there. I mean, cameras, at least for a public, for a city, I know I agree with Ms. Torres. You see the stuff on Facebook for people from the Ring doorbells. I have cameras in my home. I'm able to look at my phone, but a personal camera is very different where you're monitoring versus in a public setting where you're putting it in the entrance and the general exterior.
Right.
But if those were to be installed in a city senior center or the courthouse or the exterior parking lot of the PD, which we have, I don't know, that they're not live monitored. They're there for after the fact in case something were to happen to have the witness part of it. But I think what we need to hear from is more from IT because something like this, I mean, I'm assuming it's just for the PD stuff, but we budget for servers and because we have to keep it for how long? Since it's the public, who has that answer?
It's public record, so those videos become public record also.
They do, and usually the retention, and Derek can do it too, usually the retention on those are between 30 and 90 days. Because by the time that you get to 90 days, that's going to roll over. And if you haven't had any incidents on that particular server to view for 90 days, that basically goes away. But when you're talking about photography, especially video, you're talking about a tremendous
Right,
and a very
data.
large server
Yeah.
to hold that type of data information on it as far as that.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. In regards to pricing, I did an estimate just so that you guys have an idea. For indoor cameras, it costs about $1,000 per camera. The first year, $200 for the second year and so on. Outdoor cameras, that's where it gets really, you start to see the pricing go up. The first camera costs around $3,000 just for one camera, just because of network connectivity. On remote locations, we don't have any network. There's no way to actually pull the data out of there. So that's why the initial camera, the first camera, would be around $3,000. After that, about I believe $1,700 per year.
That's just the cameras, not including the.
That's for so the first year that would be for the mounting equipment, for the networking, the camera. Then the following years, it would be just for the service of the network, which would be Verizon, and the actual license of the camera.
When you say network, are you talking about the storage of it, the storage of the data that's being captured, or are you talking about the network that's providing the signal for the camera?
So the way that this brand works, named Verkada, they use, depending on the retention that you want to use. I just quoted the minimum, which is 30 days. If we want in more data, then the price would increase.
And I know a lot of times now, everybody's going, instead of having our own dedicated server to it, is going to the iCloud. So everything's going there and paying for that particular storage. And then after that 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, depending on what it is, that's what you get. With the body worn cameras that we've instituted, and once we institute it, Axon is the one that's actually keeping that data for us within that 90-day period. If we need to retain it, then we jump on and we retain it for evidence purposes. But most of them, you're paying for those services. Depending on what you want, premium service can be very different than just the regular service. Well,
And just another thing to add, in regards to the actual maintenance of the cameras, the software is being posted on the cloud, but when it comes to power outage or cables get connected, then that does take resources from IT. Normally, you would need two IT technicians to take care of that.
Otherwise,
Right now, we just keep adding and adding more cameras, and they're all exterior and entrances.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you have cameras and
Exteriors.
no technicians to.
Mhm.
What about on the clerk side?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. When it comes to public records, we do receive the request. However, depending on the situation, sometimes videos are available, sometimes they're not. So it all depends whether or not the cameras were actually on or not.
and one of the things that you're going to face too is once they get a public records request is, do you have a person that if there is information on there needs to be redacted? And so now you're going to have to either have me or somebody from PD go through that, redact the
Cross out,
information that
paste
needs
it,
to be
blur 'em.
redacted, and then go to the public records request.
Do we need to inform the residents that they are being recorded?
I don't believe that we do, and that may be a K question, but I don't believe that you have, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy when it comes to public areas. And so us putting up a camera inside of our lobby or outside as far as that concerned. There's no reasonable expectation of privacy. It's a public area. And therefore, I think the courts have pretty much ruled on the First Amendment that that is legal for us to do. They may have a better explanation.
No, the chief has put it well. That's exactly right. In public areas, there's no need to notify. However, there is a law about juveniles being photographed. And so if we do get a public records request that has captured a juvenile, we would have to go through, check that there's no juveniles and redact all those.
Right, and that's the redaction point.
In other words, you're doing more, opening more Pandora's box than the help you're trying to do.
Okay, so privacy. Is there any issues with privacy? Do seniors have privacy? That's the question.
Well, they have privacy if it's in an area of reasonable expectation of privacy.
When you
They-
say reasonable area of, okay, could you explain that?
So if the cameras are set in a communal area where public is, where the seniors are going in and out, like a hall, if it's
He's
comparable to
he's talking about cameras inside the senior center, not the
Yes.
hallway,
right, so
the common area.
if it's a common area, yes, that would just be okay to have a camera there. But, there might be private areas in the senior center. I haven't been there for a while, like maybe the kitchen area or,
So you're saying there's no privacy, basically.
well, not in like a common area that's analogous to like a school hallway. There's not it's a public area, a camera could be there.
Yeah, I would say the common area as you walk through the main entrance, that would certainly be a common area. You could probably afford to put one there. You could put one inside of the entire gathering hall. That's a common area. Anything when you start getting down towards, I think, the office areas, anytime you get towards restroom areas, there should be a reasonable expectation of privacy for those particular people. And so you got to be very careful about where they're at so that nobody challenges that when it comes to a First Amendment right. So it can be done, you just have to.
Mr. Ponce, did you discuss this item with the seniors?
No, sir. Well, let me ask you something, Chief. There's some other places like, let's say, Yuma, Somerton, senior centers. Do they have those cameras? This is a question. I mean, do they have those cameras inside their buildings?
Not that I'm aware of. They do in
No.
such a city hall, the
Okay.
police department, and those, I certainly think so. When it comes to their other, as far as parks and recs, I don't believe that they do. When it comes to some of their other areas, their senior centers and those things, I don't believe that they do. Somerton, I have absolutely no idea, but
Okay, another question. Louis, do we have, and some of the buildings in the city, do we have some of a camera inside the buildings, like a youth center, Cesar Chavez Cultural Center? Do we have those cameras inside the buildings?
Yes, Councilman Ponce, we do have
Okay.
cameras inside
See,
those buildings.
And Mayor, there's all kind of people going inside the building. I mean, seniors, teenagers. So what's the difference? I mean,
We're going to explain that to our seniors right now.
okay. Now,
Now, hold on there.
Okay.
That question that you just answered, where are those cameras located at?
Exactly where?
Well, all the cameras are located inside, but they are not live streaming cameras. They're more used for if we have break-ins or,
Vandalism, because we have. a lot of-
right, outside and so forth. But they are not live streaming cameras, no.
And they're pointing towards the doors.
Doors and exit.
Exactly. Not at people.
That's the difference. Are you trying to protect the building or trying to record the people inside the building? That's what we're trying to figure out here. Because the idea for cameras is to protect the building in case who came in and came out. That there's the building, like at City Hall, we have cameras coming in, police, culture building and all that. But are you saying you want cameras inside pointing at the people when they're there playing and doing their things?
No, let's give an example. Somebody
No,
had
that's a
connect-
simple question. Are you asking, you want cameras pointing where the people are meeting, or are you talking to protect the entrances and exits? That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I like to come inside the building to see if, Councilmember Gonzalez. Okay. This is the one trying to avoid a lawsuit. Well, let's say somebody has an accident inside, and then that's when file a lawsuit in the city. How can we prove that? I mean,
You wouldn't be able, in order for you to use that video, you have to have everybody's permission that's in the camera, in the video, then you're not gonna be able to do that if you have 100 people in there, 20, 30 people.
well, you're the expert, no? Okay.
I'm not an expert, I mean, that's
Okay.
the law.
Mayor and council, can I say something?
Yes.
I used to work in Somerton, and I very familiar with senior center. I remember we don't have any cameras there at that senior center. That's the only thing I want to mention. And also, when the chief mentioned about those incidents that happened that our staff reported, it happened outside the parking lot where the park admin office.
Right.
So I just want to clear that.
Angelica, have you received complaints from the senior?
No, I haven't received any complaints directly. No.
Okay, so in regards to the parks and retention?
The same thing. I mean, there's some places that need to. We need some cameras. I mean, that especially dark places to prevent vandalism.
So how many retentions do we have? 88?
I already talked to Louis on this one, Mayor.
No, or this is the work session I'm discussing. How many
Yeah.
retentions do we have?
We have over, now about 70-something.
70-something. So if you put it in one, you have to put it in all of them.
Excuse me?
If you do it in one, you have to put it in all of them.
And all of them.
Yeah, so if you do it in one, you have to put it in all of them, because otherwise.
Well,
someone's gonna
step
play.
by step. I don't think we can do all of them.
That's the question I'm asking.
Good evening, Mayor and council members.
Yes, Luis.
In regards to your question, Mayor, regarding cameras inside classrooms, I have worked for school districts that in fact, we are being recorded at all times inside the classroom. As
Which
teachers and
schools-
students
which
for
schools?
student safety.
Luis, which schools?
One of the schools was at the Gaston School District, so I can attest that there has been cameras inside classrooms. I think it's a good idea to have cameras pointing inside, at least at the door, so we can see if anything happens. And like Councilmember Batia said, if one retention has it, all of them should have them. And I'm pretty sure that if we take a look at budget, we can find the money like we've been doing with changes that have been happening in the past few months. So
Look at Derek's face go.
I just,
We don't have the IT staff.
He just mentioned for 2 cameras, you would need like 2 more people in IT department. Mention todos los parques.
we're not gonna be live streaming the cameras. It's just gonna be recording in case something were to happen.
Right,
So-
but like you said, how do you get the signal to them? How do you get the feed? They have to be Wi-Fi, they have to be set up, and someone has to be monitoring those cameras if they go down, the logistics in regards to employees that we would need to monitor that. And I don't know if you can see Derek here, he's shaking his head. It's something we are not prepared to do.
We don't even have cameras in the court system. Of all places, we
That
should
we
have
should.
cameras. We don't even have cameras in the prosecutor's office where they interview.
Where we should.
We don't even budget for that. Now you want to budget cameras for the whole city?
I wish we could do it, but I don't see how in IT.
Yeah, that's not my, that's a Derek question, for sure.
And
Derek, 88 part, let's say 77 detentions, courthouse, senior, we're adding to 80 more locations for cameras.
We definitely don't have the staff or the resources that take care of
Thank you.
cameras. And the other thing, sometimes we do get public record with footage, and we find out that the camera has been down. No, because nobody is monitoring.
There's no way to
Well,
find out when
that's
it's down either, unless you're monitoring the camera.
Exactly.
so how can we protect if we're not monitoring the cameras or know if they're working or not working? How can we avoid lawsuits if the cameras are working or not working?
Limit the installation of cameras. Higher.
Thank you.
Okay. Well,
I'm done with this subject.
seniors got me before, and I received a lot of comments, and they want to say something, and I am allowing them. I need to hear from the seniors because this affects your privacy. I'm sorry. Por favor. Le voy a preguntar una pregunta, ¿ok? Nomás quiero que me la conteste. Pásale, por favor. ¿Cómo se siente usted de tener cámaras en el Senior Center?
Nada, bien. Y no nos no necesitamos.
Ok, gracias. O sea, sí, o sea, esa es mi pregunta y le voy a preguntar a otra persona si quiere venir. Es que, o sea, yo necesito saber porque estamos hablando, me acaba de decir las que, o sea, como están en
No hay-
un lugar común, no hay privacidad.
No,
Entonces,
no
o
hay
sea,
privacidad. Estamos ahí, yo estoy de voluntaria. Desde que llego, empiezo a trabajar. Pero hay gente que va nada más a investigar qué está pasando, lo malo. ¿Por qué no pregunta lo bueno? ¿Por qué no pregunta qué necesitamos? No cosas que puedan perjudicar a otros. Y que diga en español qué quiere prevenir con poner cámara, por favor. Gracias.
Señora Lilia, para el récord, ¿puede decir su nombre, por favor?
Mi nombre es Lilia Quiñones, vivo aquí en la 1088 Sinasta Avenida. Tengo año y medio aproximadamente de voluntaria no registrada en el senior, porque me gusta y estoy muy feliz ahí, pero ya va gente que quiere intervenir en muchas cosas. Gracias.
¿alguien más? I think we need to further investigate this, and I really do. If we need to bring this into a vote, I think we should bring it up in our next scheduled meeting. And
I disagree there with you, Mayor.
see,
Because if we're asking staff to go out there and do the research on expense, we know it's something we can't do with staff, our budget. Why waste our staff's time right now in doing something that we know we can't do? There's so many projects right now there, but IT that they came in yesterday, they're running wires, running new, fixing this. They don't have time to, I disagree there. I think it's one of these things I don't think that needs to be further discussed, but again, you're the mayor.
no, well, let me hear it.
Well, if we don't, I agree with Councilmember Rosales, that if we don't have the budget to do it, it'll be a waste of time. But I'm also concerned with Councilmember Ponce's statement that there's several incidents that have been recorded. So I don't know if that's an option that we look into that first to see if they are actual valid complaints
And what type of complaints?
and
there are as
what
well.
type,
Right.
and look into that. And then after that, I want to protect the seniors' privacy. So I'm very concerned about that. So maybe installing, and I don't even know if that'll deter anything from happening, but installing cameras in the entrance.
There's
or-
already one.
They're already there?
They're already there.
Okay, so I think maybe just start with looking into the complaints to see if they're actual legit complaints, I guess would be the word.
Well, according to Mr. Ponce, they have been filed.
And they have been handled properly by,
Louis, do we know anything about this?
We'll have to review those, at least to our understanding, we have not seen those, so we'll
So
have
they
to
have,
follow
so,
up with
so they have
Councilman
not
Ponce.
formally been filed?
Not to my understanding, but we'll have to see if they've been through either
Well,
one of the
let-
departments or one of
Let's
the,
ask the question, where did you get the complaints from? Mr. Ponce? Excuse me? Where did those complaints come from? Did you get them from public records, from the clerk? Where did you get those complaints from?
The public records.
Okay, you got it from Tonya?
My office has not issued
So how did you
complaints.
get it from public records?
One person gave it to me.
No, I asked you a question, I asked you a question, have those complaints filed formally? And you said yes.
Yeah, well, I think that this is permanent because, I mean, it's been signed by the PD.
Oh, to
So,
the police department.
so the police department,
And you got those from the police department directly?
Is this, Councilman Ponce, is this just one complaint stapled together? So it's just one complaint total?
That's the way it gave it to me.
Okay. I don't have my glasses, so.
You want to borrow mine?
So how many complaints do you have there, chief?
Sure. Like I said, the last one that I had was, yeah. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Oh, much better.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Are we filming? Are we on camera?
They look good on you, by the way.
There we go. Okay, the date of this one was 2016. So yeah, this particular complaint was filed in 2016.
For one incident?
Yeah, the one that Councilman Ponce gave. So this is one, actually, that I probably, this is actually mine. So I took this one on in 2000. So that complaint was 2000.
What sort of complaint was it?
Yeah. And this was one.
No, because
No.
because I'm worried because if it's a safety issue,
Right.
I want to see what the type of complaint we're talking about because it's public record.
Correct. And this, like I said, this complaint was filed in 2016. So you're talking 2016, it's 2021. So that's when this,
So we're going to put cameras to avoid lawsuits based on one complaint.
2000.
How can you justify? If we had multiple events, if we have multiple calls by the PD, if we had multiple falls, if we had one fracture, then I would say it's a safety issue. One complaint, Mr. Ponce, I don't agree with you.
And let me just add again, because there was a complaint that was filed and we did take a report on that one. Other than this one was the one that Angelica is referring to as well. So, you know, that one is fresh in my mind as to what happened. And again, it was inside of a parking lot. And it should have never happened. And again, we trespassed the gentleman at that particular point.
And
But
he wasn't a part of the senior?
it was in the senior parking lot, yeah.
No,
It
but
actually-
he wasn't a senior that attends regularly? He was
No,
just
I don't think that,
random-
if my
random
memory serves me
person.
right, I don't think he had anything to do with the senior center or be there. I think once our guys talked to him, he actually just pulled into the parking lot in his vehicle, decided that was a great place that he was going to take a shower very quickly and then left. So, but staff members did see him, and so that's what it was. But because technically no crime was committed at that particular point, just simply because some people were offended, even though he had underwear on, it didn't fit the statutes of indecent exposure. So
Chief?
he was still trespassed, he still can't come back there.
Chief, were we sued before that?
What's that?
Were we sued for that?
No,
Mayor and Council, just to clarify again, it happened at park, at parking lot,
It happened at the car parking lot, not inside the park, not inside the
right
senior
in front
center.
of the window, in front of our office.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so yeah,
Accident.
that's really the only one recently. There was a break-in, some vandalism that was in the building in front of the senior center. As far as that's concerned, we have had several calls as far as just officers giving information, doing those types of things, senior center as well, that we've been involved in as well. But there was no official report that anybody was in jeopardy or those things. And that was more internal. We had a bus driver that we had to look into a complaint as far as the bus driver and some things that got. I don't think that that's been for, I think it's been several years now.
Correct.
2
That was
years,
close
okay.
to the 2017, that we did do an internal total evaluation of the senior center, just because we did have several, but the chief was involved, and at the end of that report, there was nothing really that
Is,
was.
my question to you, Chief, and my question to you, Angelica, is the senior center safe for our seniors?
So far, we don't have any complaints.
I believe it is.
And now I'll take that a step further. We have two hats right here. You're the park director, you're the interim city manager. What's your input?
Currently, like I mentioned before, we did do a whole evaluation several years ago of the senior center programs and policies and procedures through the PD as an internal investigation. There was nothing found. It was all circumstantial, nothing really concrete that would make us believe that the seniors are in any danger. We have currently installed, because of the improvements outside of the senior center, we have currently installed cameras that are all around the senior center. Every entrance is videotaped and not videotaped, but monitored, recorded. The back and the two sides and the front, everything is under camera recorded, and that is because of the investment that the city has made to improve the senior center. But currently, we have not received any complaints of any type of incidents that we would be concerned that there's a safety issue.
That's my question. As a park
same-
director, do you see the need to put these inside? If this wasn't brought up by a council member, would you see the need to put that in there?
We haven't currently have the need. We have, our focus was the security of the facility.
Oh, facility, okay.
And the complaint that Louis is talking about was internal from HR. PD got involved with it simply because they wanted somebody from the outside who had investigative experience to go ahead and look into the internal matters, which is what we did.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mayor, can I also ask another question? As far as training from Maria's department or other departments, I don't know who, does the senior staff receive training on how to deal with in case of incidents that happen there and how to handle them appropriately?
That's a great question.
I believe they are CPR certified, and I believe that's all they're required.
And Mayor, if I may, all the seniors go through, staff go through different trainings. They are CPR, and they also have the AED machine for the heart.
Defibrillator, yeah.
Yeah, the defibrillator, and they're first aid and CPR certified.
It's basic life support, basically.
Yes. And also WACOG does provide resources on reporting for any type of abuse. They also implement, throughout the years, the senior center has implemented different classes and had individuals come and present on scams, falls, any type of medical. We've addressed that, and the staff have worked with the different agencies.
And we've also actually provided training to the staff for active shooter type of situations as well, which I did for Angelica as well. So they're very well versed. One of the things that I did get from the school district is to go do trainings for them when it comes to legal updates and some of the things that involve students and those types of things as well. So we are more than happy to assist any way that we can in training staff to do that as well, even if it's just from a de-escalation perspective of somebody that's out of hand or unruly to. So we have a very critical incident. We're always willing to do the training for staff.
And Mayor, if I just want to add that the fire department, they do checkups on the seniors. So, and also health checkup and wellness checkup. So if there's any issues, they would report that to us.
How many times has the ambulance gone to the senior center in the past year?
None that we can recall.
Okay, so one complaint, one file complaint in 2016, no ambulance called. Mr. Ponce, it's hard to justify the safety.
I mean, we're doing everything we can to be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Mayor, I think I'm recommending installation of a suggestion box. That was about maybe 2 weeks ago.
It's not even on, if we can't even talk about that one, can we?
I'm sorry?
Let's see, the agenda is discussion possible action to staff on any all matters regarding placement of cameras in the senior center, parks and retention basin throughout the city.
We can't even discuss that.
Okay, all right.
You can bring that up to the city manager and discuss that
Yes.
during the week.
So, yeah, so I cannot make this item proceed because
So no action item.
no action, so. Thank you, Mr. Ponce.
Okay.
I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mayor.
Second?
There's a motion,
Second.
there's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yo, yo.